All right, let's dive in. In the high-stakes, high-pressure world of biotech, every single dollar and every single day matters. Today, we're going to break down a strategy that's totally flipping the old development playbook on its head.
So what's the secret, right? How does a small biotech take a promising molecule and turn it into a multi-billion-dollar acquisition? It's the dream for founders and investors alike. And the answer, you'll see, isn't just about incredible science. It's about incredibly smart strategy.
Okay, here's the deal for any emerging biotech. You have a limited pile of cash, and that clock, it is always ticking. The finish line is getting that clean, compelling data, that first proof of concept, before the money runs out. In today's world, speed and efficiency aren't just nice-to-haves. They are the absolute keys to survival.
But that internal pressure to perform? That's really only half the story. There's this massive external pressure too, because the whole landscape for drug development has fundamentally changed. We are in a brand new global race, and the old rules, well, they just don't apply anymore.
Think about it. It used to be your biggest competitor was probably a lab in Boston or maybe San Diego. Not anymore. The whole game is global now, and it's being driven by a new powerhouse that has completely reset the pace for everyone.
And that powerhouse is China. The dynamic has totally flipped. China isn't just importing innovation anymore. It's a massive exporter. They're matching and, in many cases, beating the West in how fast they can start studies and get patients enrolled. We're also seeing licensing deals to Western companies make up nearly half their transactions. The main point is this: they've set a new, much faster pace for the entire industry.
So that brings us right back to our early-stage biotech, right? Racing against the clock, and now facing this supercharged global competition. How do you even begin to keep up? Well, you need a direct strategic countermeasure, a way to match that new velocity. And that answer, more and more, is being found in Latin America.
Okay, so how exactly does this strategy work? The value here isn't just one single thing. It's actually a really powerful combination that solves the three biggest risks that any young drug program faces, all at the same time. Let's call it the de-risking trinity.
And here they are, the three pillars that make this so powerful. You're de-risking your money, you're de-risking your timeline, and, this is so important, you're de-risking the quality of your data. Let's break each one down.
First up, financial de-risking. This number is huge. Running your clinical trials in Latin America can be up to 30% cheaper than doing it in the US or Europe. And for a startup, that 30% isn't just savings, it is lifeblood. It's extra months of runway to get the data you need, which is absolutely priceless when you're sitting at the negotiating table. Second, let's talk about the timeline. I mean, just look at this difference. It's kind of crazy. In the US and Europe, just getting a single study site up and running can take half a year, sometimes even more. In key Latin American countries, it can be as fast as 4 to 8 weeks. When you're in a race against time, that's not just an advantage, it's a total game changer.
So, you're probably wondering, how is that speed even possible? Well, it comes down to a few key realities on the ground. Latin America has these huge, dense urban populations, but way fewer clinical trials competing for patients. This means you find not only more patients, but more patients who haven't tried other treatments, which gives you cleaner, more reliable data. Plus, since these trials often provide access to top-notch healthcare, patients tend to stick with the study, which is fantastic for data integrity.
Now for the million-dollar question, does faster and cheaper mean lower quality? And the answer is a hard no. This is the third part of the trinity, de-risking your data quality. The regulatory bodies in places like Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina follow the exact same strict international guidelines, known as ICH-GCP, as the US and Europe. And that's why their data is routinely accepted by both the FDA and the EMA. You get all that speed without sacrificing 1 ounce of quality.
Okay, so theory is one thing, but what about proof? Let's look at a real-world case study that shows exactly how this strategy can lead to one of those massive, industry-shaking wins. Let's talk about Acerta Pharma. Now, Acerta was in a really tough spot. They had a great drug, but they were basically stepping into the ring against a heavyweight champion, a competitor that was already FDA approved and was totally dominating a billion-dollar market. To put it lightly, they were the underdog.
So what was their move? They went global for their big Phase 2 trial. And as you can see, over 30% of their patients came from outside the US, with a huge chunk from Latin America. This move wasn't just nice to have, it was absolutely critical.
It let them hit their enrollment targets way faster and prove their drug worked for different groups of people.
And the result? The FDA accepted their global data package and gave them accelerated approval. Just a few months after that, AstraZeneca came calling. The potential acquisition price? $7 billion. This wasn't luck. It was a direct result of their strategy to get clean, de-risked data faster than anyone thought they could.
And this quote just nails it. For a startup, going to Latin America wasn't really about saving a few bucks. It was about buying time. And that time advantage is what let them generate the knockout data they needed to show they could take on the market leader. That's exactly what a company like AstraZeneca wants to see before they write a multi-billion-dollar check.
All right, so let's pull all of this together. What's the big takeaway here? What does this all really mean for the future of biotech? Here's the single most important thing to get. Thinking of Latin America as just an afterthought or some simple cost-cutting tactic? That's old news. As the Acerta story proves, this strategy is moving from the sidelines to being absolutely central to the biggest deals and biggest wins in our industry. And this matters to you no matter what your role is. If you're a founder, this is how you extend your precious cash runway. If you're an investor, this is how you de-risk the companies in your portfolio. And if you're in big pharma, this is how you get a competitive edge, acquiring companies that already have faster, stronger, globally proven data. So, I'll leave you with this thought. With the pace of global R&D getting faster and faster, and with a clear path to match that speed right in front of us, the real question is, can anyone afford to be left behind?
Thanks for tuning in.